Hi, today we're going to work on feeling connected. So sometimes we talk about feeling connected to the world around us, but today we're really thinking about feeling connection to our own body. So I'm not thinking so much about we're going to do arm day or leg day or core day, but just thinking that every time that we move, it's never just our arm moving or just our leg moving in isolation, that all these bits are connected. So when I move my arm, I feel it all the way down through my back, my tailbone, even I might bring in my knees. So thinking about how all these movements are connected and which parts of our body are moving as we do them. So finding your comfortable seat. If you do have a yoga brick, it would be really helpful, but not worrying if you don't. I'll give you alternatives as we go along. So just taking time to feel settled on your chair. Try and have your back away from the back of the chair if you can. And just softening your gaze, closing your eyes. Just noticing how you're feeling today. Any thoughts floating through your mind? Are they truthful? Are they useful? Do they need to be stored away for later? Or could you just push them away altogether? Not worrying if your mind flits away to different things through the class. Just seeing that every time you notice that your mind has drifted and you bring it back as a repetition, like you're working that muscle of attention. It's all a practice. Any emotions that you can feel? Can you physically feel them anywhere in your body? If you do have a physical sensation from them, maybe you bring your hand to the spot where you can feel them. And just think for a moment about directing your breath towards that spot. And letting your hands settle back on your knees and working from the top down through your body. Thinking, how does my forehead feel? My jaw, neck, does anything need a bit of a wiggle, a bit of movement? Front ribs and back ribs. How do your elbows feel, your wrists and fingers? Your lower back. How do your legs, your sit bones feel connected to the chair? Does one side feel heavier than the other? How do your knees feel, your ankles, your toes? How does that connection between your hands and your thighs and your feet and the floor feel? And when you are settled as you can be here in your comfortable seat, just thinking, is my head balanced over my pelvis? Is my jaw slightly tucked so that I've got more length through the back of my neck? And bringing attention to your breath, not changing anything, just noticing, being the observer in your own body. Is your breath fast or slow? Deep or shallow? Does one nostril feel clearer than the other? Maybe you can inhale through your nose, but you need to exhale through your mouth. Just doing what you can. you wanted to bring an intention to this class, an intention being something that's already within you, but you want to just bring a feeling, an emotion to the surface, something like I'm strong, I'm calm, I'm connected, I'm grounded, whatever that feeling that you want to bring out in yourself today might be. Just bringing that to mind and holding it in mind as you start to deepen and lengthen through your inhales, feeling expansion through your belly and ribs, and exhaling for equal length. Trying to let your face relax, let your shoulders relax on the exhale. Inhaling, building space, nice, slow on the inhale. So we're not taking a big, quick inhale, slowly drawing that breath in. Tiny pause at the top, and exhaling, slowly releasing the breath. So you're not overly full or overly empty at any point. Just equal inhale, pause, exhale, pause, like this pendulum, this wave rolling in and out. And just starting to notice where you're feeling the expansion of the breath. Is it all at the front, at the sides, at the back? Are there any little adjustments you can make to your posture so you felt that expansion, that 360 degrees swelling out all the way around? Noticing where else you might feel the breath when you're drawing it in and down. Do you feel the breath working through your pelvis? As your respiratory diaphragm and your pelvic diaphragm work together, both strong, both flexible. Can you feel it right up into your ribs? Breathwork being one of the best core exercises you can do, really working into that deep core. And we're going to build an extra part of this breath. So as you come down through your exhale, at the very bottom of that breath, we're going to take a draw in of our belly button. So think about sucking that belly button in, drawing it towards your spine. Releasing and taking your inhale again. Exhaling all the way to the bottom. Then thinking about drawing your belly button in towards you. Release. And taking another exhale and continuing with that. Just thinking which parts of you can you feel working, can feel engaging or being affected as you work through this breath. So breath is so simple, isn't it? Just something we do every day without even thinking about it. But when we're very specific in our breath practices, we can have real tangible effects on our body and our nervous system. It's this real powerful tool that once we know how to use it, can have a real effect on our health, on our well-being. And just returning to your inhale and exhale, leaving that engagement of the belly button for now. I'm going to start to bring in some shoulder movements, so just rounding through your shoulders. Thinking about squeezing your shoulder blades together as your shoulders come back and down, and letting them come apart as your shoulders come forward and up. maybe think about how this would feel, how this would look if you stood behind yourself, observing. Maybe try taking it in the other direction, so at the bottom the shoulder blades squeeze together, stay together as your shoulders come up, and then part as your shoulders come forward. And just noticing how this feels so different when you do it in the other direction. Maybe it doesn't feel different for you at all, it does for me. And just letting your shoulders relax, flutter, open your eyes if you're not there already, and taking any little wiggles through the shoulders. That might feel good. And we're going to bring our arms out to the side. Maybe draw your hands back just a little bit. Just work within your own range in all these shoulder movements. But just want to gently feel like your shoulder blades are drawing together. So not locked together, not really stretching through this chest, but just like they're coming together, like you're activating a little bit. And on an inhale, palms turn up towards the ceiling, and exhale, turning them down. Working with your breath, inhaling, palms come up and down, and continuing with that movement, noticing where you're feeling it, which parts of your body you feel working. Smallness of movement can feel really powerful. If you're not feeling it much, maybe draw your shoulders back just a little more. So many muscles that work in our shoulders, really engaging all of them, taking action at this time. And then bringing your hands down. Again, taking some movement to your shoulders, maybe some big wide elbows. Maybe one elbow and then the other, like you're swimming backwards, really casually, maybe swimming forwards. And if you have a brick, we're just going to bring it in between our knees. If you haven't got a brick, you could always use like a little pillow or something to gently squeeze between your knees, or you could leave it out completely, up to you. So we're just going to do maybe 25% effort, squeeze between our knees. Just noticing, is it just your knees, your thighs that are working there? Is there anything else that you can feel engaging? I can feel it a little bit through my belly. And from here, we're going to take our right hand and stretch it over our left. We're going to have our thumb as our gazing point here, so don't try and really hone in on the details of your thumbs, no need. Just a soft, gentle gaze. And we're going to inhale, that arm comes up. Maybe our gaze comes behind to spot the hands that reaches back, thumb turns down, sweeps forward. Working within your own range, so maybe your circles are smaller than mine, maybe they're bigger. Just noticing where else can you feel this movement in your body. If you're finding that you're getting a lot of clicks and pops in your shoulders and it doesn't feel comfortable for you, you could always try moving in a way that really gets rid of those clicks or pops, and maybe you make the circle at the top a bit smaller. Just trying to move in this way that makes that stretch feel really elasticy, like you're trying to spiral stretch through the whole of your side body, from your lower back up to your fingertips. I'm going to take it on the other side, so stretching our arm over our opposite knee to start off with, and then reaching up, sweeping that hand forward. Maybe the gaze comes behind. Again, if you want to make any adjustments to this movement, seeing if you can find a way to move in between those clicks and pops as they come in at the top of that circle. So we're really moving our arm in a way that's different to our normal movement patterns and using those muscles differently. And this time bringing our arm down. We're going to roll our shoulders, a couple of loose ones, and think about lifting up through our chest, palms come out. So tailbone draws back, so it's like your pelvis is rolling forward, so your belly button comes forward. Your chest lifts, head gaze lifts, so you've got this long line of curve all through your spine. So it's not like your lower back's doing all the work, you're trying to curve every bit of your spine evenly, lifting up. This is your cat, not your cat position, your cow position. And then we're going to round into our cat, so tailbone rounds, so our pelvis rolls back, arching through our spine, hands reach forward, gaze comes down, maybe our palms come together. Keeping that little squeeze on the brick, opening up, chest lifts. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Working through that with your breath. If you think this would feel better without a squeeze between your knees, feel free to modify. Really trying to move our spine in every direction. Move our pelvis. This little rock and roll through your pelvis. Just warming everything up and coming back to center. We're going to inhale, hands come up. Exhale, forward fold. So elbows could either come to knees and round through the spine, or your brick could come down to the ground and you could have your hands on there, or you could have your hands all the way towards the ground. Draping spine over thighs. Halfway lift, hands could be on brick or they could be on your knees, back is flat, gaze comes forward. And then fold, and then pushing through your knees, we're going to round up through your spine. Hands come wide, palms come together, and we're going to do that all over again. Inhaling, sun salutations. Exhale to fold, your choice of fold. Halfway lift, elbows stay at your side, back comes back, thinking about sticking your bottom back, and fold. And then rounding up, inhaling. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift, elbows by our sides, staying in halfway lift this time. So you're really thinking about sticking your bottom back so you've got that nice flat lower spine. Gaze is forward and down. And either you could have your hand on your brick, or hand on knees, or forearm on knees. We're going to take our right hand, sweep it up as we rotate our chest towards the side. Breathing into this twist. Hand comes back down, taking it on the other side. So we're like rotating around our spinal column. Down, rounding up through our spine. Now we're going to bring our right thigh over the chair. So depending on your kind of chair, I like to go across the corner because it just means my feet can touch the ground a bit better. But connecting your whole thigh and your right bum cheek to the chair, and then your left toes turn out about 90 degrees. So we're in warrior two position. So if you really wanted, you could come back into this really long warrior two, but I don't think it's necessary. It might be more challenging considering what we're trying to achieve from this class. So I'm going to start shorter. If you wanted something under your foot, because we're going to try and really focus on driving this front foot into the ground, so really rooting and grounding this foot. So having a brick under can help that. It also brings us into more of a kind of a lunge, a deeper lunge position. So you might get more strength benefit through your legs. So just see what feels good. I'm going to keep my foot on the bricks. You might have your foot on the floor, you choose. I'm going to bring our nose towards our right knee. Take our opposite hand, stretching forward and down, so you're just reaching over to that outside of the knee, and let your head be heavy, rooting into that front foot, and on an inhale, coming up and open, and then coming forward and down. So we're not really wrenching our spine here for like maximum stretch, we're just feeling that first little bit of stretch, trying to relax into it. And on an inhale, sweeping up, rooting through that front foot, bringing the hand back, maybe following that hand with the gaze, and doing that a couple more times with your breath. Relaxing into this front position, and coming up. This time when we draw forward, just staying here. Taking your other hand, also reaching forward and then sweeping up, rooting through that front foot. A little lift of our chest. And then bringing your gaze forward, your chest forward. We're going to open out into our warrior two arms. So left arm and left knee are forward, gazing over that left arm. Really thinking like you're gazing into the far distance. Not trying to focus on anything, just a dreamy, far away gaze. And the reason we do this, it's like a little nervous system cue that we're not in our hunter, hyper-focused mode. We're just dreamy and relaxed, and our nervous system can relax. Noticing if any tension's coming up into your shoulders, rolling your shoulders, giving them a wiggle. And bringing your hands down, heel toeing that back foot in, coming back to the center of your chair, keeping your feet a little wide. I'm just going to drop one knee, and then the other, working side to side. And then we're going to take it on the other side. So this time left leg comes over the chair. Right foot turns out. Just having a fidget, making sure you can definitely plant your feet on the ground. Taking the option to have something under your foot if you'd like a bit of extra height. Thinking about your opposite hand, so your right hand this time reaching forward and down. Can you feel all that tissue that's connected from your lower back right up towards your hand? Letting your head relax. Breathing here, so not forcing into your maximum stretch, just waiting, feeling that gentle stretch, letting the breath do the work. And on an inhale, rooting your foot, coming up and open, sweeping back down, moving with your breath. Maybe it feels better for you to keep your gaze still. You choose staying in your lunge this time. Other hand comes forward and then sweeping it up as you root through that front foot. Little lift of the chest. And then bringing your gaze forward, your chest forward, opening out into your warrior two. Finding that far away gaze. Maybe coming back to your intention that you set yourself if you had one. I am calm, I'm strong, I'm focused, I'm connected, whatever it may be. Noticing your shoulders, could they be more relaxed? And then bringing your arms down, heel toeing that back foot in. Coming back to the center of your chair. This time we're going to take some pelvic circles, so thinking about rolling your pelvis forward, to the side, back, other side. Starting to get everything moving. This pelvis movement is something that can be more difficult as we get older, as we get more fixed into our movement patterns. Everything starts to stiffen up a little bit. So practicing can really help. Our pelvis really is in control of all of our postures, and it dictates a lot of how we move. So trying to make it as strong and mobile as possible is a pretty good idea. And coming back to center. So if you have a brick, I'm going to move back slightly so you can see me. We can use this. If you don't have a brick, don't worry, I'll show you the other version. We're just going to have our toes up on the edge of the brick. And just thinking about inhaling up onto our toes and exhaling, letting the heels just hang. So not forcing our heels down, just hanging with gravity over the brick and then coming back up onto our toes. And just noticing if your whole body starts rocking here, and actually thinking, could it just be my legs that are moving? Could I keep my body completely still? My spine long, so I'm not tempted to lean back, try and help this movement. If your feet are on the floor, just thinking about rolling up onto your toes and then back, lifting the toes, coming onto your heels. Working through that. Finding the gazing point, drishti, whenever you come into a pose. Coming back and working with your breath. And just letting your feet come back to neutral. And again, trying to keep your spine long, trying to minimize any movement through your body. You're going to lift up one knee, so whether your feet are on the floor or on the block, and then the other. Just noticing with interest, not with judgment, every time other parts of your body try and help you out by leaning back or forward. Maybe you find you're holding your breath. Maybe you find you're frowning. Your jaw's clenching, your shoulders are creeping up. Just noticing which parts of your body are working here. And then if you've got a brick in front of you, just giving it a kick back under the chair. And we're going to do a tree pose of sorts. So thinking about your right foot coming out in front. So not really stretching it out, keeping your foot connected so you'll have a soft bend in your knee. And then bringing your left foot so it rests on top of your right. I'm going to see if we can let that left knee just fall out to the side. Again, we're all really different in our hip joints. So some people have more of a floppy out knee than others. Just wherever it lands for you, not forcing anything out. On an inhale, I'm going to slide the foot up the leg just to the point again where you really want to lean back to help it. Bringing the knee in, sliding it back down. Working through that little circle with your breath. Inhaling, drawing the foot up. Rolls in, drawing it back down again. This time, when your foot comes up, just wherever it stops, holding it there. Maybe you want to ease it down a little because it's not comfortable to hold it there. but thinking about drawing foot in towards leg, leg towards foot, so there's just a little resistance of each other pushing together. And you can stay here, just focusing on what you can feel happening in your body, or maybe you want to try building in some tree arms as well. So maybe you think about, can I do a little side bend, one side, then the other. Actually, how would it feel if I brought my arms down a little bit, stretching forward? Where can I feel that pattern of movement through my body? What if I came down low? So the bottom of our body is still, the top is moving, but everything is working. Coming out of this, just drawing your knee in, bringing it back down and taking it, any wiggles, any movements. And just pausing for a moment with your eyes closed and noticing. Does one leg feel different to the other? Is there anything that you could feel happening in your body? Even in our moments of stillness, there is movement and activity. Our bodies are always working for us, always busy. Fluttering, open your eyes. This time we're going to extend out with our left leg. We're going to do the same thing, so right foot comes on top. Just letting the knee roll out a little. And then drawing foot up the leg. May just hover the toes off the ground. You may be able to come all the way up towards the knee, choosing what feels like it's working for you. Knee rolls out, foot comes up, knee rolls in, and you're just being the observer. What is happening here? This time foot comes up, thinking about foot drawing to leg, leg to foot. Bring your foot down a little if it feels like it's going to be too hard to hold it. Breathe. Maybe you want to try bringing in those arms. How does it feel? Maybe stretching forward and up a little. How does that feel? Maybe just across the body. Maybe down. And you can come out of this anytime you want, taking any wiggles, any movements that might feel good. Maybe a little windscreen wiper of those knees. Maybe a little pump up and down on the toes and the heels. And while you're doing this, you can think about whether you want to come up to the standing section of the class. We're going to more or less be doing the same thing in standing as we've done in sitting. So there may be a couple of things that you might have to be creative about, or you might tweak or leave out, but see how it feels for you, see how it looks. Option to stay seated and go through the same kind of movements if that's what feels better for you today. If you're coming up to standing, just bringing your feet in towards you, bringing your bottom forward on the chair. Nose comes towards toes, gaze is forward, and start to hover your bottom off the chair, rooting into your feet. Maybe you can bring one arm forward, maybe you can bring the other arm forward. Knowing the chair is there if you need it. We're here in our chair pose with our bottoms hovering. And on an inhale, rooting our feet into the ground, coming all the way up. Hands come together, down to heart center. Just finding your Tadasana pose. Thinking about the weight in your feet. Where does the weight naturally sit in your feet? Is it all at the front, the back, the sides? Could you find equal weight throughout? This is just exploration, just play, just noticing. Rooting your feet to the ground to the best of your ability. Thinking, could my legs feel like they're gently magnetized, drawing together? Could I roll my shoulders? Palms facing forward. Gaze is forward and down, just that soft, faraway gaze. Like you're almost magnetized, like you've got that effect of gravity pulling your fingertips, your feet towards the ground. You are the mountain. You are an unmovable part of this universe. And just here, coming back to your breath, back to your intention. Maybe allowing yourself a little smile. And then just relaxing everything. We're going to come round to the back of our chair. Actually, maybe we're going to turn our chairs today. If you've got a cushion on your chair like I've got on mine, because it's more comfortable because I've got a slight curve in my seat when I sit down, maybe bringing it off just because I don't want anyone slipping when we put our hands on the chair. So you have the option to have the back of the chair towards you if you like that extra height, but maybe we're going to try with the seat today. So just again, thinking about finding your Tadasana. I've turned my chair so you can see me. You can obviously keep your chair more on the mat than I've got mine. Coming back to your breath, back to your intention. We're going to inhale, hands come up. Exhale, bend your knees, forward fold. Hands can either come to the chair or the legs of the chair or all the way to the ground, but wherever you are, think about this feeling about having your belly connected to your thighs. So bending your knees as much as you need to get that feeling of draping over your thighs, and then let your head be soft. So we're not worrying about the length of our hamstrings, we're thinking about that length through the spine. Letting our spine be supported, breathing into back body. We're going to inhale to halfway lift, back is flat, gaze comes forward, hands rooted into the chair. Thinking about sticking your bottom up. So again, your knees need to be nice and soft here. So really rooting from your fingertips, stepping back into our down dog, bringing your feet nice and wide. Again, head is heavy, bending through one knee, and then the other, to look under one shoulder, and then the other. Opening, closing your jaw, having a wiggle of your forehead, a little nod of your head from side to side if it feels good. And then come into a place of stillness in your dog. Bending your knees as much as you need to, sticking your bottom up. And you can either stay here in your dog if this feels good, or we're going to think about coming into plank. So making sure your chair is really supported on your mat because you don't want it slipping anywhere here. We're going to round through our spine, pushing the chair away, coming up onto our toes. Shoulders come over our wrists, so really pushing that chair seat away, rooting from your fingertips to your palms, into the thumb. Let your heels relax. So one long line through your body. Little breath here. And then we're going to push back into our down dog. Thinking here about bringing weight onto your right leg, coming onto the toes of our left. We're going to see if we can draw our left foot behind us. Maybe you can bend the knee, take a few little circles, just drawing them out with your knee. They could be tiny, they could be big. Working in your own range, rooting the standing leg into the ground. See if you can let your head just stay a bit relaxed. Keep your hands active, rooting into the chair. Then next time your knee comes forward, drawing your knee in towards your chest, round through the spine, really push the chair away. And we're going to see if we can step that foot up towards the chair. Let me turn this way, see, just so you can see what I'm doing. So the same kind of thing as we did in sitting. So at the moment we're in a lunge position with all of our toes pointed forward. We're going to see if we can turn that back foot out to 45-ish degrees and bring your feet a bit wider if you feel like you need a bit more space to balance. So it's not like you're on a tightrope, you're more like you're on a train track. Keeping a bend in that front knee. So if you need a little extra height, you can bring your brick on, or you can turn the chair around the other way, up to you. And again, we're going to take that opposite hand to knee, stretching it across towards the knee, letting our head be heavy. And on an inhale, sweeping that hand back, opening out to the side, straightening up through that front leg. Exhaling, front knee bends, sweeping it down, letting your head be heavy, arm feel heavy, and then rooting through that foot to come up and open up. Front leg straightens. One more time. This time, staying here in your triangle pose. If it's too much, keeping your arm lifted, you can always bring your arm to your hip. Thinking about breathing into this twist. Bending through that front knee. We're going to come up and turn our chest forward. So if you want to adjust your stance a little bit, please do. And then straightening up through that front leg, but don't lock out the knee. Just keep a tiny micro bend. And we're going to think about tilting our pelvis, so drawing our pelvis forward so that we come forward with a straight back. Gaze is forward and down. You can have your hands on the chair or on the block if you wanted to, or your hands on your hip creases. Come into your breath, finding a gazing point. And then bending through that front knee, sweeping our hands, come up, coming up onto the toes of the back foot, stepping that foot forward. And then having any wiggles or movements that feel good, shaking out your hands. Maybe shaking out your feet. And then when you're ready, finding that mountain pose again, your Tadasana. Come into your breath, come into your gazing point, maybe thinking about bringing that intention to mind again. When you feel rooted, when you feel grounded, gonna inhale, hands come wide. Exhale, bend your knees, forward fold, head is heavy. Halfway lift, back is flat, gaze comes forward and root through your hands, through your fingertips, your thumbs, stepping back into our downward dog this time. So again, if you feel like you need any movements, bending one knee, then the other, looking under one arm, the other, just walking out your dog. And then settling in your downward dog whenever you're ready. Tailbone drawing up so you have that nice flat back of your thighs back of your lower back. And then your legs are nice and bent. Head is heavy. Either staying in downward dog or round into the spine, pushing the ground away, coming up into plank. Letting your heels settle. And then pushing back into dog. Bringing your weight onto your left leg this time. Coming onto the toes of your right and then sweeping your right leg back. Rooting your standing leg into the ground. See if you can bend your knee. Take some hip circles, drawing them out with your knee. These could be as big as small as you want them to be. You might even touch your toes down in between. But just noticing what's working. Keep rooting your hands into the seat of the chair. Next time your knee comes forward, round into your spine, drawing it up high. See if you can step that foot through. So we're back into our lunge on this side. We're going to aim for our warrior one leg, so turning your back toes out to 45-ish degrees. Just checking in that feels comfortable for you, that you can keep that front foot bent while having the whole of both feet connected to the ground. Taking your left hand, I think, reaching forward and down. Just let your head be heavy, your hand be heavy. And on an inhale, rooting into that front foot, coming into our triangle pose. Bringing extra height with a brick or block, or turning your chair so you can use the top of your chair if it feels better. Sweeping your hand forward, bending through your knee, and coming up. Tuning into your breath as you move through this. Think about rooting into that foot so you're growing up from the ground. Maybe your gaze stays still. Maybe like to move your gaze. Following the hand. This time when you come up, we're going to stay in our triangle pose. If you feel like you have to adjust the angle of that back foot, please do. Breathing into this twist, choosing your arm position. Into that front knee, turning your chest forward, again scooching your foot around to accommodate that change in your chest position, straightening up through the front leg, don't lock the knee. We're going to lean forward, tilting your pelvis forward, so nice flat back. Maybe your hands come to the chair. Maybe your hands stay on your hips, thinking about breathing into that space, in and down. And coming onto the toes of our back foot, bringing our hands to our chair. We're going to see if we can step back with both legs, bringing our feet nice and wide, so the chair is about an arm's width away. I'm just going to have a wiggle of our hips from side to side. It's not often you really get to do a proper wiggle in your day-to-day life, so just take a moment to enjoy this and really feel your hips moving in the joints. And then we're going to just bring our right arm down, just let it have a pendulum, little move. A few circles, let it feel heavy. Almost like it's going to stretch all the way down to the ground. breathing. On an inhale, bend it through our left knee, letting that right hand come all the way up to the side. Exhaling, I'm just going to thread it through, bending through that other knee to accommodate that thread through, and then up again. And bring that hand down. I'm going to take that on the other side, so trying to keep that nice flat back. Take some pendulums through the opposite arm. Really letting that arm just be heavy. So I'm just going to stretch Armstrong from him all the way down towards the ground. Noticing where you feel this. And letting it come to a place of stillness. Bending through the opposite knee. Rotating around your spine. Arm comes up. Other knee bends. Arm threads through. And again, all the way up. Bringing that arm back to the chair. Bring your hands to your hip creases. A nice bend of the knees. Sticking your bottom up. One hand and the other. You can always keep your hand attached to your chair if you need that extra stability. Think about hinging your pelvis towards all the way up, and a little push forward when you get to the top, and taking that tick-tock of your hips from side to side here. Heel toeing your feet back in. And this time we're going to come behind our chairs, so having the top of your chair towards you. We're going to turn, so we've got our right hand attached to our chair. Just take a moment, find your breath. Your attention. We're going to do that tree pose again, same as we did in sitting but in standing. So if you prefer to do it in sitting, please come back to your seat. If you prefer not to do it at all, please also come back to your seat. You can do whatever you want to do. This is your practice, not mine. Everything I say to you is just a suggestion, an invitation to explore. You can completely ignore everything I say and I will not be offended. Mostly. Bringing our weight onto our right leg, coming onto the toes of our left. So thinking about rooting that standing leg into the ground, so we're not popping out through the hip, we're rooting just like we do in our Tadasana, not locking the knee, keeping a tiny micro bend in there, so everything is working. Finding your gazing point, your drishti. Turning your other knee out to the side, drawing toes in towards foot. So we're in our chair position. Inhaling, can you draw that foot up your leg? Drawing the knee in, foot draws back down again. Knee comes out, drawing the foot up and in. So you might want to come out this, come back in if it's too much to keep the standing position. On this next time, as your foot comes up, thinking about landing your foot. So it may be that your foot lands with your toes attached to the ground, drawing ankle towards foot, foot towards ankle. It may be that you come a bit further up, foot towards leg, leg towards foot, in your calf. Maybe that you come all the way up here, but it's quite unlikely that you would have been able to draw your foot all the way up to here. If you've got your foot on your knee, just be cautious that knee is drawing to foot, foot towards knee, so you're not pushing your knee across to one side. Everything is active, everything is drawing together. And again, from here, you might want to play around with How does this feel if I bring in a little side bend? What if I were to reach up and forward? Where would I be feeling that? What if I come down? And just all the time noticing how much weight you're putting through that hand that's attached to the chair. Maybe you could hover your fingers, maybe you could take a little weight out of it. Just making sure you keep breathing. Try and keep your drishti, your focus, and you can bring that knee in and down whenever you want to. Again, taking any rocks from side to side, any hip circles. Maybe you like to have a little bounce on your knees, a little shake out of your hands. Just trying to tune in to what your body needs. Moving my chair again, excuse me, you stay where you are. We are going to turn so that this time our left hand can be attached to the chair. Thinking about finding that mountain feeling, so your feet are attached to the ground, you're rooted, you're grounded. Your shoulders are relaxed, your face is relaxed, you have a gazing point. You are connected to your breath. And from there, bringing your weight onto your left leg. Coming onto the toes of your right. Thinking about that little softness in your standing leg and your knee. Turning your other knee out to the side, foot comes towards other foot. Inhale, drawing the foot up. Knee draws in, and then slowly drawing it back down again. Knee turns out. How high up can you draw that foot? Maybe you can draw it higher in standing than you could in sitting. Knee draws in, rolling it back down again. Just noticing with interest, is it different or the same on this side? This time when your foot comes up, just letting it stop wherever it wants to stop. If it's at the ankle, if it's at the calf, if it's at the knee, if it's at the thigh. If you really want to bring that foot up to the thigh and it needs an extra little bit of handling to get there and stay there, feel free, but just make sure the knee, leg is towards foot, foot towards leg, so that's at equal and opposite resistance, so not pushing one too much into the other. Everything is active, foot is rooted into the ground, legs are drawing together. Maybe see if you can bring in a little side bend, moving with your breath, just exploring where you're feeling this movement, thinking about those long elasticated lines from your lower back up to your arm. Maybe you can feel this in your belly, maybe you can feel it somewhere else. Just exploring what feels good for you. If it doesn't feel good, why are you doing it? Coming out of that whenever you want. Taking any wiggles, any bounces, any movements. Maybe you want to come into your goddessy legs and do some real little circles through your hips, through that pelvis. Really working on your mobility. Whatever might feel good. Maybe some rolls. Just like when we were back in school. Heel toeing our feet in together. And come round to the side of the chair. Just give yourself a little bit of space at the side. And we're going to inhale, hands come up. Exhale, folding down but coming into tabletop position this time. So thinking about your fingers being widespread, knees are bent, back is flat, pushing the ground away, chair away. Rooting the whole of your hands, so from your fingertips, your thumbs, just almost like you're creating like a little suction pad right in the center of your palm. And we're going to take some cat-cows from here. So thinking about on an inhale, tailbone sticking up, belly coming down, chest drawing forward. Exhale, round through the spine. Push the chair away, cat claws digging into the seat of the chair. And then working through that again a couple of times with your breath. Thinking about the long line of movement through your spine. So lower back, middle back, upper back, neck. So it's not just your lower back doing all the work. This time we come back to center, just pausing here, getting that nice flat back again, bending your knees. Maybe you can bring your hands to your hip creases, thinking about that pelvis moving around your hip joints as you come all the way up to standing. A little push forward with the hips, maybe a little tick-tock or any other movements that might feel good, and we're going to come round to the front of the chair again. So just before you sit down, just thinking about connecting your legs to the back of the chair, the front of the chair even, so making sure the seat is definitely there. And you can completely come down to sitting if you want to, or we could do it back through our chair pose. So taking the options, taking your challenges, bringing a bit of softness in your knees. Again, just checking in, the seat is where you expect it to be. Maybe you bring your arms in front. Maybe you see if you can lower down, have a little wiggle of the fingers. How slow can you go? Landing in the chair. Just taking a moment to feel the connection between your seat, your feet. When you get there, relax your shoulders, relax your face, and have a little wiggle of your head. And on an inhale, hands come up, sun salutations. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift, elbows draw in by sides, and fold. And then rounding all the way back up. Hands come wide, back to heart center, and again, moving with your own breath. I'm going to come down into fold, then halfway lift to staying in halfway lift. Thinking about that long spine, bringing our right arm to our right knee, palm up, rotating around our spine. Maybe our other hand comes back, little turn. Coming back to center, taking it on the other side. Hands come to knees, pushing all the way back up. Having a roll of our shoulders. Really bringing your elbows nice and wide. Maybe try this with your head to one side. Then your head to the other. Maybe bringing your arms forward. Head back to center. pausing just to notice. I'm going to bring our right knee up towards us, taking some circles of the ankles, wiggles of the toes. Try and make your hip do some of the work. So if you've got hold of your knee, just making sure you're not doing all the work holding it up. Maybe you could let go and it would stay there. Maybe it's doing 50% of the work, but just noticing how much work your hands are doing. Trying to sit tall if you can, so you're not helping it out by leaning back, rounding through the spine. Taking a wiggle of the toes, seeing how wide you can spread your toes. They don't always want to do what you tell them to do when you first tell them weird instructions like this, that they never usually have to think about. Then we're going to shoot our foot out in front, feeling like you're trying to pin your heel to the wall in front of you. Just noticing with interest if you've leant back to help this out. And then slowly lowering it down towards the ground, taking a couple of windscreen wipers, just turning your toes in and out, but keeping your heel attached to the ground. And then we're going to think again about tilting our pelvis up and forward. So we're coming forward with a straight spine, just until you feel a gentle stretch behind the back of the legs. So we're not going for extreme stretches ever. We just want to start with a gentle stretch and then bring it in our breath to cue our nervous system that it's safe, it can relax here. Nothing extreme. Come into your breath. Bring an opposite hand to the outside of that extended leg. Maybe give it a little rub, a bit of a massage. And then with your spine still straight, we're going to do a little turn towards the extended leg. Finding that far away, dreamy gazing point. Everything is soft, nothing is focused. Center, drawing back out, taking some pumps through your ankles, maybe lifting your toes off the ground, maybe having some wiggles. And then we're going to bring our other knee up towards us. So same thing again, making your hip do the work. Maybe your toes are just hovering from the floor, maybe they're even still attached. Whatever your starting point, maybe you feel like you can bring your knee up really high. So just try not to round too much through your spine. So your hip doing the work here. Taking those circles of the ankles, wiggles of your toes. Oh, hear my toe clicking. Seeing if you can spread your toes nice and wide. These ones really don't want to do what I'm telling them to do. They'll get it eventually. Just noticing with interest how your body responds to unusual commands. Every time we do something new, we're just building those neural connections, finding different ways to do things, giving ourselves more opportunities, more ability. Shooting that leg out in front. How high can you keep it lifted? It's really near the end of the class, so don't worry if it's not high at all, if you feel like you're leaning back. Heel comes towards the ground. Taking those rolls of your foot, your toes roll to one side and the other. Feeling your hip moving in your hip joint. And then sitting up nice and tall, bringing your hands to your pelvis and feeling like you're tilting your pelvis forward. So your back comes forward, it's nice and straight because it's just in line with your pelvis position. Gentle stretch behind the back of the leg. If you want more, you can draw your toes up a bit, but again, we're not aiming for a big stretch here, just gentle, and then using breath to relax into it. arms to the outside of the leg, turning your chest, hand is just there for support. You're not twisting, pushing your spine into this. You're using the breath, letting the breath do all the work and building space. Chest draws back down, bringing that foot back in, taking a couple of windscreen wipers side to side. Feeling pretty pleased with yourself as you've got to this end of the movement section of class. And then finding your way towards the back of your chair, connecting spine, connecting feet, connecting palms to thighs. Just let your shoulders relax, let your face relax. We're going to end on a triangle breath. So triangle breath is not complicated, but it might take a couple of rounds. So we'll start with our eyes open and then maybe we'll close our eyes and continue for a 5 count with our eyes closed. So a triangle breath looks like an inhale for a count of 4, a hold and a pinch of our nose for a count of 4, and then an exhale for 4. So I will do the count. I use this mudra to do my pinch, so on my right hand. I use the index finger and the middle finger drawing in towards the palm. So don't worry if they don't touch the palm, but just general intention of direction. Then the thumb and the other 2 fingers out, so that when I come up to pinch, they're the ones that pinch my nose. And the reason we pinch our nose is just so that we A, definitely don't cheat, and B, because it just triggers another autonomic reaction in us that just helps us kind of relax into the breath. So we'll do a couple of rounds together and then we'll practice. I'll do the count. If the count is too much for you, please stick to your own count, shorten it, do what feels right. Again, we are all different. These breath practices they have kind of commonalities of the science of how they work, but we are not all the same. They won't suit everyone, and some people aren't ready to jump into them yet, so just do what feels right for you. On your next inhale, inhaling for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold and pinch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold and pinch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Closing your eyes. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 more. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just letting your hands relax down onto your thighs. Returning to your normal breath. And just noticing how you feel now. noticing any sensations in your body, any warmth, any tingling. Maybe you can feel a pulse somewhere in your fingertips, your thumb, your mouth, your heart. Even in these moments of stillness, everything is still working. Our bodies are busy, looking after us, keeping us going. Just noticing the sensation between yourself and the chair as you inhale and you exhale. How does that connection between yourself and the chair change? And tuning into any sounds around you. Is there one sound that you could just hold your attention to? Worrying if your mind drifts away, just noticing and try and bring it back towards the sound. And just bringing your mind back to your body again. And taking any options for movement that might feel good. So maybe just a wiggle of the fingers, a wiggle of the toes, the wrists. Maybe you like to come into a nice big yawn, a big stretch. Maybe you just want to allow yourself a little smile, a shrug of the shoulders. And one last wiggle through those hip joints. Trying to keep your eyes soft or closed, just being the observer in your own body. On our next inhale, we're going to bring our arms wide, scooping up all that prana, that life force, that energy, your breath. Bringing it in between our hands, drawing it down towards our heart center. Fluttering open your eyes if you're not there already. And bowing to each other as students of yoga. Thank you.